Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to have you here with us to take a peek at Remitian. And for those who I got to meet in DC at the AICPA Tax Conference, lovely to see you again. Always good to connect in person. And we really appreciate the chance to hear really what's top of mind for the team when it comes to tax remittance. And I know Nick and I had a fantastic time there despite our materials not showing up. And we are so excited to be able to show you Remitian today and how it can help your team. Now, do make sure to stick around as we remember the big old jar of jelly beans. We will be announcing the winner of our guessing game from the event. Remember, it's not just for the bragging rights as becoming the #1 bean counter, but also for that $100 gift card. Now, a few little housekeeping items. You will see the chat window over on the left-hand side of the screen. Throughout the session, please feel free to drop your questions, comments, maybe your dreams into the chat. We'll be keeping an eye on that to make sure that those get answered as we're going through. So for those of you that I haven't had a chance to meet, my name is Georgia Turner. I'm going to be your host today. I'm the head of firm engagement here at Remitian. And I've been working in the tax and accounting technology space for about 15 years, but never cool enough to be a CPA myself. And I am joined by the fabulous Leanne Murray, who's going to be walking us through the platform today.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here connecting with everyone. I'm the lead for customer experience here at Remitian.
Wonderful. All right, now for those of you who don't know or you're new to Remitian, we are a cloud-based SOC 2 Type 2 certified platform, just to tick those boxes, and we are built to automate and simplify your tax remittance across both the US and Canada, if you happen to have any folks in the Great White North. So we're going to cover the IRS, CRA, state, as well as provincial payments. Now, the whole big thing with Remitian is we give you a nice clean audit trail and full visibility with total peace of mind when it comes to helping your clients with remittance. So instead of having to field those angry client calls from grown adults who can't figure out how to pay their own taxes or maybe misplaced their voucher, now has a penalty, you're going to have a clean, trackable dashboard that's going to show you what is happening. This is also going to allow you to really guide your clients through their payments without having to take on the risk of actually processing those payments yourself. In addition, we're going to give you a lot of flexibility. So we know when it comes to those estimates, as the name suggests, estimates, we may have to make adjustments as the year goes by. With Remitian, we're able to easily do that. But on that note, I'm going to hand the ball over to the fabulous Leanne, who can show us really what it means to deliver that final mile in the tax process.
Wonderful. So I'm going to start by just essentially sharing my screen. So let me 1 second. There you go. As you can see, the dashboard itself is very clean, streamlined, very straightforward. As I go through this walkthrough, you're going to most likely the response we get is how simple and easy and straightforward it is, and that's part of that goal. So the dashboard here, we have everything that you need essentially to initiate a payment directly onto the dashboard and to be able to view and manage payments directly onto the dashboard. So not a lot of multiple clicking. You could see on the left-hand side, all of your clients. You can even filter by specific clients to see if they have any payments in the system or not. And then on to the right, we have an option for what we love to call smart filters. Here will allow you to filter by payment due dates. So you can see any upcoming payments, past payments, and in between that with easily applicable filters. You can filter by payment amount. You can filter by tax payment status. So if you want to see pending approvals, reminders, payments that have been processed, you can filter accordingly. You can also filter by tax authority. So here is showing tax authorities within the United States. On our Canadian platform, it will show filters for those Canadian authorities as well. And you can even filter by tax filing form. So if you ever need to drill down, you can do so quite easily and very straightforward. At the very top here, we have what we love to call smart tiles. So those will be frequently filtered items that most accountants or payment preparers will need to see at a glance. So for example, this one is pending client approvals. You click it, you see every client that has the status and all those payments are directly in front of you. We have pagination. So if you want to see as many payments as possible on the home screen, you can do so. If you want to see as little payments as possible on the home screen, you can do so. It's very flexible and adjustable to your needs. In terms of adding and managing clients, that's also fairly simple. So creating a client is as easily as assigning their accountant, adding their first name, last name, and an email address to the platform. This is what will add a client onto the platform. You will not invite a client until you share an invite, and you can do so by our automation system that we have built into the software. This will allow you to send a nicely branded automated email, or if you'd like it to remain Remitian branded, it'll get sent to the client, inviting them to the platform. Or if you want to incorporate it into existing copy, existing emails that you'd like to personally send, you can also copy an invite link, and that will invite the client to be able to also use said platform. We have easily editable tools for managing your clients at any time. And we also offer multi-factor authentication using a mobile phone number. So when a client joins the platform and adds their phone number to their account, they will receive a 6-digit authentication code every time they log in to ensure and have that added security of who is accessing these tax payments. Um, and that can also be managed within the client platform. Here you can also see we have a few additional tabs. We have bank account tabs. So if a client adds a bank account, or you as their accountant could also add their bank account, we have a couple options. We have a manual option for direct deposit slips or for void checks. And then we have a sign-in option that leverages and uses Plaid. Plaid is our go-to data aggregator. It allows a user to log into their bank account similar to online banking platforms, and allows them to connect their bank account securely that way. We usually recommend that way just because then it's more hands off. You're not holding on or managing things such as logins. You're not handling things such as void checks. You can essentially assign that to the client, and I will be showing what the client viewpoint will look like after this brief presentation. This section is where you would add tax accounts. Again, very simple and straightforward. You can add a personal account or you can add a business account. And it just asks for a few details to ensure that the information is accurate and correct associated with the tax account. The client will then have to, for example, if it's for the IRS, will have to just verify their connection to the IRS with just a few details, such as the date of birth and their last tax filing year. We have payment history. So as payments go through, you have a clean, clear audit trail of all the payments that happened through Remitian, as well as the details of who the money went to, how the money went to, and when the money went to. So that's always clear and visible. And then here we have a very nifty one. I'm going to go to different client to show this feature. We have a tax file section, and that's because we have this very handy tax import form in the top right hand corner. What that does, it allows you to drop in your typical tax forms, and what will happen is our AI will import the file. Our AI will scan and read the file. It'll flag if there's missing elements such as period end dates or missing information, but it'll also generate the tax payments for you. So that's just even one less task to do. The perfect part about this is that once it's generated, you already know that the amount's going to be accurate. It reduces the risk of any human or user error. And if at any point this payment needs to be adjusted for any reason, such as cost, dates, you know, balancing amounts in their bank accounts, maybe wanting to split it up, you have the flexibility to do so. You're not restricted, which is a wonderful thing about scheduling these tax payments. Any text file that you upload into the system will be kept here and they'll be organized per client on the client basis. We also have team management. So to add a team member, just as simple as adding a client, first name, last name, email address. A phone number will enable that multi-factor authentication feature again with the 6-digit code, and you can assign what preferred role you'd like for the team member, whether it's read only and they just have visibility of the platform itself, whether it's an accountant who can create and send payments, or whether it's admin that needs access to third-party integrations for firm data, or a team member that's there to support you by being able to create clients for you, but not necessarily send those payments directly to them for approval. Again, all of these permissions can be somewhat flexible. For example, team members, you can choose whether or not they can own clients, or you can choose if they can send approvals directly to clients so that it fits within your firm's existing workflow. And then settings allows us to manage the pretty things on the outside. So making sure we have your information so that our automated emails communicates the accurate information from your firm. White labeling so that the branding matches your firm, that there's consistent messaging and carries over that trust so that when your clients are interacting with our system, they know it's associated with you without hesitation or questions. And certain approvals that the firm will be able to turn on and turn off at any point in time. We do have a few more settings in terms of managing notifications of client activities, as well as the ability to manage and edit your personal information on the platform, which is called My Account. Again, very straightforward and very accessible. If there's any questions about any of the features you're seeing here on the platform, don't hesitate to leave it here in the chat. We're going to take time to review and answer those as necessary. So again, if an idea or question comes up, please don't hesitate to post something or to share. What I will be doing now is shifting from the firm view to the client view, just so you have an idea of what the client is expected to see or expected to work with. One of the ways that you can kind of see a preview of that is here under clients, we have a preview section. And excuse me. And so that preview section looks like this, where you can kind of see, depending on the tax entities associated with the client, if there's payments that are queued, pending client approval. And it gives a very simplified preview of the client dashboard so you can have an idea of what the client will see. But from an actual viewpoint of the client, it will look something like this. They'll have a home page that will have an aggregation of all of the payments, ones that have been processed, queued, and pending approval. They would just have to click to view tax payments. All the tax authorities are organized here. So blue dots just mean that payments that are queued or that have been resolved. Red will mean that pending activity. So for example, this user has a payment for the DC area. You can see down here, there's an estimated tax payment. There's a few actions you can take. Depending on the payment that you're dealing with, you can either edit a payment, you can create an additional payment if necessary. You can assign a bank account. So if a client wants to use a specific bank account for a specific payment, they can do so. There's no limit on how many bank accounts can be associated to a file. Or they can, deny or approve a payment. And if that happens, you'll see it right away. So for example, this estimated tax payment, we want to hit approve because maybe we're happy to approve that. That will now be reflected in the firm view of the platform for your firm. Here, the client can also manage things such as their bank accounts, again, as mentioned. So if you want to be 100% hands off and not have to be involved, a client can do so by adding their bank account using that same void check or direct deposit information, or they can use our data aggregator Plaid and they can connect similar to online banking and they can assign a bank account to their platform. Once they do, you will have that kind of two-way visibility, which will allow you to be able to assign a bank account if you choose, but you have the visibility to know when those payments were essentially assigned a bank account and when they are approved. So, for example, this one, we just recently approved a more recent payment. If we hop back to the firm side here and we go to that client, we can see here that that same $8,000 payment for DC, it was approved and queued. So now you have that real-time response that is approved. Similar to denials, you'll also see if there's a payment that was denied or a payment that's expired, you see those right away. Additionally, you'll also receive email notifications of when the client activity declines a payment or if there's a pending payment with that's about to expire, you'll always be kept in the loop. You don't always have to necessarily be logged in to know said information. But when you are on the platform, it does have real-time notifications. I want to say that's mostly it for the entire platform. Georgia, is there anything specifically you'd like for me to share with our group here today in terms of what would be useful for them to see?
Um, I don't know if there's another thing in platform, but I guess one thing I do want to touch on because I feel like adoption and getting onto the platform is always such a big thing. I think,
Mhm.
as I'm guessing, as we've gone through this platform, I can say in my 15 years, this is the simplest and kind of most streamlined platform that I've had the pleasure of working with. So I can say from an onboarding perspective, it is a pretty low lift for getting on here from a staffing perspective. As you can see, it's very clean. The navigation makes a lot of sense, and we can really get folks up and running very quickly. Generally, we do a kickoff call. Sometimes we have the fabulous Leanne. We might have Ben or Nick from our team taking you through the platform so you can learn how to get in, how to add your clients, how to set up those payments. But after that, it's a pretty simple system. And something that we have in place, this is actually something that Leanne created recently that I think is really special, is we have put together a toolkit that has a lot of the communication pieces. Because I think where firms tend to run into trouble, right, is getting clients on board, getting them in, and sometimes it's knowing what words to say. So that is something that we have put together as a part of our deliverables when folks are coming onto Remitian. We have got communication templates that you can use both internally, so actually even getting this out to your staff to kind of herd those cats internally with the onboarding, but also communications that you can send out to your clients because we know that you're their trusted advisor. So a lot of times having that extra communication coming from you can really help with that adoption to make them feel comfortable going in and using a new process. So I just wanted to point that out there from an onboarding perspective. Oh, and we got a question here from Jamie. Fabulous. Is there a way to see what the clients are seeing at the same time when they're logged in trying to get set up? I believe that would be the preview section, but Leanne, I'll let you speak to that.
Yes. So, for example, let's use Mr. Larry Stanley as an example. I don't believe, has any payments or anything scheduled onto the platform. Oh, maybe he does. Let's see. Okay, we'll go to this carry person. So somebody like this who would be new, never using the platform, if you hit preview, you'll essentially see what they're seeing, which is just a base screen that just lets them know they're all set. This is the default that they'll see until you start scheduling payments for them. When payments start getting scheduled and assigned to a specific client, then it'll give them essentially that consolidated view that we had before that has the list of essentially, total taxes owed, the next upcoming payments, and the status of those payments and where they can click and then see each section in more detail. So you can see, for example, this client has a couple payments in Georgia, payments in DC, a payment in Wisconsin, and multiple payments for the IRS. And this is directly from the firm. So you don't have to log in as the client, but you can see what they're seeing essentially in real time. Although it's a slightly modified view, but it's exactly the same.
Mhm. And that's something that I like because I know personally, like if I'm not looking at something, it's hard for me to walk somebody through the process. So the preview screen
Yeah.
here gives you that ability to tell them kind of where to look and where to click. But something I do like with the ability to add those bank accounts in for your clients, if you have somebody that needs that little extra hand holding, or maybe they just expect it because maybe they're an especially high net worth client,
Hmm.
we have those kind of tools in place where you could even add that bank account for them. So really all they're doing is going in and hitting that approve button. So but yeah, we do have that really nice preview piece.
For sure. And on the client side, I just want to emphasize, I was showing, one at a time just to kind of show the process. But we do have a feature where you can select all the payments and they can go through, they can approve them all, they can deny them all, they can assign a bank account to multiple accounts. So it's not necessarily one at a time that will take too long. It's truly a product that you can, in a few clicks, set and forget about. And what will happen is every time a payment comes up, a client will get a notification, usually a day or two in advance, just giving them that heads up that, hey, you have an upcoming payment. This is the amount. This is the type of tax payment it's going. Ensure that there's funds within your bank account, and then the payment will go through. So they'll still be notified. You'll have that visibility of when the payments are processing. Everybody essentially is kept in the loop, but also still being very hands off.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So something, just to keep in mind when we think about going forward in tax and accounting, right? We know the future is going to be automated. I think it's something like 90% of clients at this point are wanting that extra hand holding. So, that's where we're excited about tools like Remitian, where we can really deliver that final step in the tax process, but, also kind of guide them along. Oh, perfect. Another question from Jamie.
Yep. Is there a way to have a 2 week reminder as well as the day before? Absolutely. So by default, our payment reminders go out about a day or two in advance. But if you do want that additional reminder, you can do so for your client. So let's say for this one, let me use a payment as reference. So we have a payment queued for the 19th, the $675. So we're going to add here a reminder only. You would check off this section. You would choose the type of tax account it's for, again, the reason for the payments, where it's being applied to. You would put in the details such as the amount, that payment date, which I believe was the 19th. You can choose when the reminder goes out. So if you want that 2 week gap, for example, right now the earliest is the 8th based off of the payment date. But you can choose here on the calendar how early you want that reminder to go out. And once you're happy with those details, you would just hit continue. And then you'll see here, there's a reminder queued. And then here's the other reminder queued for this upcoming payment. So what will happen is then a nice packaged automated email will go out, again, branded however you please, if it's your firm or if it's Remitian. It'll go out to your client, letting them know that, hey, you have this upcoming payment. Here's the amount, here's the details, and it even gives them options of how to pay. So, for example, if you have a client that is maybe a little kind of iffy about adding their bank account to a new platform, such as this, it gives them instructions on how to pay that, make that payment on their own. Obviously, the goal is to facilitate that ease and peace of mind. So having the ability to do it through Remedian is there, but you can essentially schedule that reminder independently, and then they'll have that 2 weeks in advance, and then they'll have another reminder a couple days before the actual payment itself goes out.
All right, awesome. And we'll keep that open to see if there's additional questions. But I did want to announce our big winner from the event here. So it came in. This is a pretty impressive guess. We have Michael Ford from Soren, and he had a guess of 2,211 jelly beans on a total count of 2,376. So the guessing skills were quite good. So, Michael, we will be sending out the gift card to you in the next week. So do keep an eye out for that. If you don't see it, I am going to send out an email after the call today to everybody that's registered with some additional information, as well as a link to my calendar if anybody would like to have an additional follow-up conversation. All right, but let's see. Now, something else to make everybody aware of, as you may or may not have seen when we were at the event, we were offering a special for a 3-month trial period for $2,500. Lets you get in. I don't know, Michael. I think you did pretty good. I mean, if that was no skill, I am thoroughly impressed. We did see some really good technique, though. There were some people that were calculating and going around. So, but something else that's going to be in the email, just so that y'all know, we do have an additional promotion. So usually we have our 3-month pilots for folks to go in, see how they feel on the platform. You can get up to 100 clients on there, unlimited remittance. It's generally 3 months. Since we are going to be coming into busy season, we are extending that through the end of April. So that would allow anybody who does want to go in and get a feel for it to get onto the platform now. As I said, The learning curve is very, very small for getting folks on. But if you did want to do a pilot this tax season with maybe a couple key clients and see how you feel, it's a nice low stakes way to get into the platform and would take you all the way through to the end of this busy season in spring. So I will be sending out a link to that. Oh, perfect. And Leanne has got the QR code up in the upper corner. I'll be sending out a link in the email as well with some
Yes.
additional information after the call today.
And so this QR code is a link to meet with our sales team. So if you want to have a more in-depth discussion, be able to essentially work through your use case and see how Remitian is a solution for you, feel free to use that QR code to book. I'll share the QR code for the promotion, George, as well at the end of our call.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Yeah, it's always, I know, easier on a live call as well. It's nice being able to do the chat, but I know we end up with a bit of a lag. So if you want to snag some time on our calendars, we would love to chat a little bit more. All right, let's see if we get any other questions. I don't see anything coming in. So guys, keep an eye out in your inbox for those emails with the additional info. And Michael, keep an eye out for the email with the gift card coming your way. And guys, if you have any questions that we didn't get to on our call today, just please reply on back to that email that I'm going to send out. Like I said, happy to set up a one-on-one, or I can send off responses through email as well. Happy to help, but thank you again, everyone, for joining us. And it was a lovely meeting y'all at the AI CPA event. And once again, congratulations, Michael.
Have a wonderful day, everyone.
Thank you, guys.